Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lit Up Lightworker Podcast, bringing you fun and soulful interviews with spiritual teachers with the aim of tuning you in and lighting you up. You can access all episodes of the podcast at georgelizos.com/podcast or by searching for it on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. My name is George Lizos. I'm a spiritual teacher, intuitive, the co-creator of the Elemental Healing Practitioner course, and the author of Be the Guru. And today I am thrilled to have here with me the creator of the brand new Oracle of the Fairies, Karen Kay. Karen Kay is a former BBC News editor who communicates with fairies and is the founder of the international fairy magazine, Faery. A passionate nature lover, her friendship with the fairies began as a young child in her grandmother's garden, where she used to collect rose petals to make perfume for the flower fairies. She's related to renowned fairy poet and author Walter Delamere. Karen, welcome to the Lit Up Lightworker Podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, George. I'm so happy to be talking to you again, and this time with my fairy baby, the cards. Yay! And hi, everyone.
Karen is actually the first person I'm interviewing twice for the Lit Up Lightworker Podcast. She was one of the first guests last year, and this is the second time you're on the podcast, and we're talking all about this brand new Oracle deck, the Oracle of the Fairies, which will be available on October 1st. I'm gonna pop the pre-order link into the Facebook group so that everybody can pre-order the deck right after we finish with this chat. But Karen, let me start from the beginning. Before we talk about the deck, what has been your journey in meeting and communicating with the fairies? We've heard a little bit about it in your bio, but could you tell us something more about it?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so my fairy journey started when I was a very young girl, and I used to spend lots of time in the garden with my grandmother, and she adored flowers. She had the most beautiful garden, and I just remember being really tiny and looking up at her as she was pruning all the flowers, and the rose petals would fall, and I would gather them up, and I would make what I believed was perfume. It was actually rose water, if we're being honest, but I was making perfume for the flower fairies. And I would leave it out overnight. And when I would go back the next morning, it would be gone. So, yeah. But I knew that there were fairies, but it wasn't like a mind thing. It was just in my heart. I just knew there was something there. And that relationship basically has stayed with me all through my life up until now.
And what a journey this has been. What was the inspiration behind you creating the fairy festivals? Because you do a lot of fairy festivals. We're going to talk about it later on. But how did this passion and interest in the fairy realm expanded and grew to the degree that you created whole parties, basically?
Well, I don't really know. I don't know how I've got here. It's fairy magic, definitely. I just love fairies, and I love the planet. I love the planet and care about it so much. And I've always been a little bit of a lot of an environmentalist. And I know that fairies are also environmentalists. They're guardians of the planet, sometimes referred to as nature angels. They're not angels, they're fairies. They're a different being altogether, but they are referred to that as, sometimes they're referred to as that. Now, I just connected with them through the planet, and it's just unfolded, basically. I hear them telepathically, I see them, and they inspire me. And sometimes they have strange requests, and I say, I can't do that, or but then I do end up doing it usually, because it's fun mostly, and they're opening fairy doors for me all the time. So it's been really magical. And how I got here it's been a symbiotic partnership to get here with the fairies, definitely.
And I gotta say, we owe so much to you, Karen, because you created the Faery magazine, so many festivals. You created fairy music. So much of the culture around the Fae is because of what you've done for so many years, and we couldn't be more grateful. Personally, I'm so grateful, because if it wasn't for Fae magazine when I was at university in 2012 and just receiving it in Bristol and just reading all and seeing all the beautiful images, I don't know if I would be doing this work right now with the elemental.
Wow, that is very humbling to hear. I can't take credit for the whole Fae community because it did exist, but a lot of people were quite isolated, especially within the UK. And what I've done is brought people together through the various mediums, through the magazine, through the events, through the balls and the festival, just so it's a place for like-minded and like-hearted people to gather and have a common interest where they don't feel silly or out of place, and they can wear their little elf ears. Yes. And it's fine, and they can wear their horns and their wings, and they can just be who they are and celebrate life. And I feel very honoured to have been a part of that in bringing that scene within the UK, especially. Yeah,
which is the vibe of the fairies as well. Now let's talk about this beautiful deck, the Oracle of the Fairies. If you are listening to these on the podcast as an audio version, you can go to YouTube and search for George Lizos Karen K, and you can see us showing the deck as well as the cards that we're going to show later. So this beautiful deck, let me just make sure that people can see it because the lighting is a bit too strong. Such a beautiful artwork by Ginger Kelly and magical images of the cards. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us what was your inspiration behind creating this deck? Why did you want to create it in the first place?
I've always had a vision of creating an oracle deck. I don't know why, it's just always been there. And I knew that it would happen at some point, I just didn't know when. And the fairies are like this all the time, like wanting to come through the messages. Now, I know from your conversation with Radley how he was saying that the cards don't, it's your power that goes into the cards. With these cards, there is fairy magic in the cards.
Yes.
Obviously, it's your energy that will dictate or discern what the reading is, but there is a tangible magic in the cards, and everybody's said that. And that's because it's been such an intensive journey, really, and they've been with me all the time, inspiring me telepathically, giving me little promptings in my dreams or when I'm out in nature, just getting all the messages. So it's all come as a direct communication with fairy, which is such an honor for me to be able to be the vehicle for this and to now have this deck.
Card reading is such a co-creative process, isn't it? The fairies and the angels, the guys, whoever we're working with, they put in their magic into the cards, and then we're tuning into our own magic as well. And it's just a co-creative partnership that we create together. Now, what was your how was the process of coming up with the messages of the cards? And at this point, I want to share, before you share your answers, I want to share a few of the cards with people watching us live right now or watching the replay on YouTube. So I'm going to share 3 of them right now, and then we're going to go into the next of them, the rest of them. So this is the protection card. I'm going to put the lighting down a little bit so people can see this better. This is a protection card, as you can see.
Yeah.
Such beautiful luminescent colors and energy. And let me read the card. The fairies of protection are shielding you with a magical fairy ring of love and light. Practice psychic protection before embarking upon any spiritual work. So in this card, you're talking about the importance of spiritual protection as well as the fairies of protection. How did you go about getting in touch with the fairies of protection? What was the process like doing that?
Okay. Well, as I said on the card as well, and it's always been my philosophy that whatever you do, any type of spiritual work, I feel that it's wise to employ some type of protection, because when you're opening yourself up to any external energies, we can be a bright light, which means we can attract lots of things.
Yes.
So that protection, having that in place, helps to keep the safe space, your spiritual, it's like a tongue twister, your spiritual space safe.
Yes.
And the image of the fairies in the fairy ring literally just popped into my head, given by the fairies, and in all the different colors. So not only have you got the protection of that, you've got the energy of all the different colors of the rainbow within those fairies. And I've been telling people in my workshops as well to visualize this image before they do any work. Visualize these fairies around them, in a ring holding the space before they do a reading, before they do any work. And it's been really powerful in my personal experience and from what I'm hearing from other people as well.
Yeah, it looks like they're bringing in the colors of the rainbow to create a very sacred ring of protection around us. You can really feel the magic. I think Ginger Kelly did an amazing job with connecting with the fairies as well, and bringing forth such beautiful colors into these cards, because you see the cards and there is sparkle and there is light and there is color, and it just transports you instantly into the fairy realm, like just looking and meditating on the card.
Yeah, they're alive. The cards are alive, and Ginger Kelly, I mean, the briefs that I was sending her were very long and in-depth, and Hay House said, normally the briefs aren't this long, but we'll see what she said. She said, I love it. I love the detail, because I was going into every tiny little detail, but she loved it. And this is what was born from it. So it's wonderful.
And it's absolutely beautiful. Let me show 2 more cards here. We have the transformation card, and I love how diverse the cards are. As when it comes to race, when it comes to everything. So the transformation cards, it says here, this fairy tells you to surrender to a transformation in your life that's happening for your highest good. Embrace your transformation. The best is yet to come. And the next one I want to show is the manifestation card. Here is this beautiful card over here. Be very honest and clear about what you wish to manifest in your life. Now write it down on paper. Manifestation, step 1. Oh, I so love that. Now I want to talk a little bit about the types of fairies we can encounter into the deck. So we have, not in these cards that I have over here, like we have the fairies of protection, but we have manifestation fairies. We have different types of fairies. What fairies can people expect to encounter while exploring the deck?
So pretty much every type of fairy across the realm. There's even a temptation fairy in there as well, because that's part of life, isn't it? But what you're saying about the diversity, it's really important, because we are, I liken it to, we're like flowers in a wild flower field, and there are so many different colours and shapes and sizes, just like people, and we should all be celebrated, we should all be honoured and acknowledged. And I've tried to do this, hopefully I've done it okay, within this deck, and representing everybody so that everybody feels included.
I think this is so important. Whenever I get a deck, whenever I'm sent a deck to review, or whenever I'm using a deck myself, I always look out for the diversity, because I think it's so important for everybody to feel accepted. And the whole point of working with fairies and the work we've done over the years is this kind of acceptance and diversity, and it's perfectly captured in those images as well. Now, shall we show 2 more cards? How about now? This is probably, now I have 2 favorites. By the way, for people watching, I've been having the deck. I was lucky enough to get an early copy. So I've been using it for the past 2 months, every single day.
Wow.
And, such magical messages, such a perfect way to start my day every single day, having a fairy guide me. I couldn't have asked for a better start to the day. And a card that I've been getting over and over and over and over again, and I can see why, is moon energy, because I love working with the moon. Now, check out this card. I don't even need to go close, because it's such a potent card. People can feel it. Okay, so let me read what this card says, and you can talk to us a little bit about it. So moon energy, surrender to the natural ebb and flow of life. If you're feeling confused, this fairy comes to calm emotions and reassure you that peace of mind is possible. People have been fascinated with the moon for thousands of years. talk to us a little bit about what this the moon fairy is here to communicate.
Yeah, okay. So I think we all know, or many of us will know, the experience of the moon energy over the last month or so, because it's been pretty intense. And it's taken a lot of us on crazy journeys, actually. Very turbulent, very all over the place, good and challenging and everything. I'm hearing it from everybody. So when this fairy came through, it was a relief, because I was not expecting a moon fairy to come through, because fairies are of the earth, they're earth beings, but this fairy is of the moon, definitely, and she works with those moon rays, the moonbeams. And it can be a confusing time, because we're, you know, scientifically we're made of water, and the moon affects the tides, so we are affected in a physical way. And we can get confused, and this fairy comes to tell us that, you know, we can be calm within these times, and she can help us do that. So it's important to remember, because the moon does, in the tarot as well, it represents, it can be confusion. And so she is like the antidote to that, bringing a calmness and to work with the energy, to flow with it, ebb and flow, and just allow it through you rather than fight it, and just let it be.
It's so beautiful that you combine the energies of the earth, therefore the fairies of the earth, with the fairies of the moon, because they're interrelated. We are affected so much, as you've just said, by the moon, so it makes sense to bring in some moon energies as well. And another card that I really like, and I got pretty often, and I like the message a lot, as well as the imagery. She reminds me of Rapunzel a little bit, the healing fairy. Now, let me show this card to people, because you may not be able to see it because of the light, but she's holding a rainbow between her hands. And it says here, now is the time for you to give or receive healing. Everyone has a natural ability to heal others. Yes, even you. Now, Karen, since we're talking about healing, how can the fairies help us heal? What is the relationship between fairies and healing and us?
Okay, so let's go back to basics. Fairies are guardians of nature. When we are in nature, we feel calmer, we feel more relaxed. And it's recommended, if you're feeling stressed or not in a good place, to get yourself outside. And it's the green, the different shades of the green. It all occupies your mind in a different way, which helps you to be calmer. And so that's where the healing starts, at a very basic level. When you're consciously connecting for healing with the fairies, then they can come in and do that for you through nature, through the colours of the rainbow, through the colours of the flowers, and in different ways like that. So it's all to do with nature and connecting into that energy. But when you do it through them, it's even more powerful.
Exactly, because you get to focus the energy as well, rather than just working with nature as a whole. You get to specify and be more focused in what you're attracting and what you're asking for.
Yes.
And how can people use the deck? I mean, of course, we can use it to give readings. And I know that in the booklet, you mentioned the fairy ring reading. Are there some other ways people can use the deck for, apart from just readings?
Well, yes, you can use individual cards as inspiration. So you could actually go through the deck and choose the cards that resonate with you most. I know that I have different ones that jump out. They literally fly out of the deck. I've got so many videos of me shuffling, and they're flying out all the time. But certain cards, you'll find that you resonate with them more at different times. And when that happens with me, I'll put it on the side of my desk where I'm working, so that it's within my gaze. So I'm getting the energy from that card while I'm working. So that's one way that you can do that.
Yes, and that's what I do as well. I pick a card, or a card that keeps popping up. I'm like, okay, there's something deeper for me to explore here. So I usually just have it on my nightstand, and I meditate on the message before I go to sleep. I find that it helps me digest the healing a little bit more, basically.
Yes.
Now,
it keeps it constant, doesn't it? Because while that image is in your field of vision, whether or not you're looking at it, it's still there. So subconsciously it will be going in, and you'll be still connecting with the energy of that card and the fairies within that energy as well. Yeah.
Exactly. And I want to go back a little bit to the manifestation card, because fairies are known to be great manifestors.
Yes.
How can we work with the fairies and the deck to manifest our desires, and what kind of desires can we manifest?
Okay. So fairies are magical. They can shapeshift, they can use fairy glamour. They are very, very magical beings. Now, they're not there just to do our beckoning, you know, to say, oh, I would like this new Rolls Royce, I would like this castle, I would like, you know, we can say all these things, but I think fairies are just going to laugh at us most of the time if we do that. But when you want something, or you need something sincerely, with pure intention from your heart, that will enhance your material experience on this earth, because it can be challenging, and there might be things you need. It could be, my washing machine's broke, I need a new washing machine, can you help me, fairies? It could be anything, or it could be, well, I would like a new car, but it doesn't have to be the best, or whatever. As long as you're asking with a pure intention and for the highest good of all, and also knowing that the fairies will only help you if they want to help you, because they have egos.
Yeah.
They can choose. So it's about forming the relationship and keeping it respectful. By all means, ask for what you want, but also know that you have to do the work as well. It's a two-way street. So you can't just say, I would like this, and sit back and wait for it to come to you. You have to, like, what can I do? How can I be proactive to start this manifestation process? And then the fairies will be more inclined to meet you halfway.
I like that you mentioned the word relationship, because sometimes we look at fairies or elementals or angels as like, okay, it's like, okay, they are there to serve us, but they, as you said, especially fairies, they do have an ego, so they appreciate that relationship. So how can we start a relationship with the fairies? What are some easy steps we can take if someone is just starting on their fairy path to make contact with the fairies?
Okay, so I would say if you are able to, go outside in nature, find a tree, sit by the tree, and I would say meditate, but that can scare some people. So just sit quietly. Let's call it sitting quietly, and be receptive to the energies. Start to feel, as you sit in silence, start to feel the energies that are coming around you. And then you can put out a little call in your head. You can say it out loud, or in your mind, if you don't want to say it out loud, just something like, fairies, fairies, come to me now. I wish to connect with you for the greatest good of all. And then you just have to wait, and then they will be scanning you from a distance. They will undoubtedly be in the vicinity, checking you out, thinking, who's that human wanting to connect with me? Who is that? And they'll be saying, well, are they a nice human? They're a good one? Do they love the planet? Do they love flowers? Do they love animals? And they'll be checking you out. And it can be an instant process, or it can take time. But the main thing is to have patience, persevere. But that connection will only happen if they want it to happen. As well as you have to want it, but they have to want it too. And like I said, and I will keep saying, you know, you cannot control fairies in that way, but if you form this relationship and do things like picking up pieces of litter and showing through your practical actions, you know, because we can all talk, but it's the actions when you're walking your talk that will be noted as well. Like feed the birds, leave seed out for the birds, and things like this. Anything that will help nature will be noted by the fairies, and they'll be more inclined to feel closer to you then.
Oh gosh, so important to take action, because we like to talk a lot and post on Facebook a lot and share pictures on Instagram, but unless we're doing the work for the environment, the elementals are not dumb. They realize, they can sense when we're not really showing up for nature, for Mother Earth, for the world, and we're just talking the talk but not walking it.
Yes.
So, and of course, the cards is another amazing way to start making a connection with the fairies. People can get it on Amazon as well. It's available on pre-order. If you're listening on the podcast right now or watching on YouTube, I'm going to post the link for that in the description below. Here in the Facebook group, I've shared it with you guys in the comments so you can pre-order the deck, and you get a free mini course with Karen if you pre-order. So be sure to do it before October 1st when the cards come out. Karen, tell us about, you have a fairy fair event coming up in Avebury on September 21st.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Okay, so Avebury has been calling to me for years, and believe it or not, I had never been there until last week for the first time, and I bonded with the stones straight away. And there's a place there called the Hen Shop.
Yes.
And it's a very, very old shop, all within the stones, and they invited me to bring some fairy energy to the shop and to do a workshop. And I said yes, and then it's just grown from that. So they've got a wonderful fairy garden at the back of their shop, and we're going to have stalls there and in the front of the shop, and we'll be doing some stuff within the actual stones, a little fairy ring, healing circle, and I'll be doing a workshop where people, for the first time, people will be able to hold them in their hands and take the cards home with them. And it's a total exclusive, and I'll be sharing it. It will be the longest workshop that I've ever done, actually, 3 hours.
Wow.
It will be fun. Yes, long, isn't it? I'm thinking, oh yikes, but it'll be fun because weather permitting, we'll go outside as a part of the workshop as well and really connect into the stone fairies, which will be fun. And I'll just be talking about the cards, the journey, and doing little readings for people, mini readings, and just talking about how it all came to be and answering any questions that people may have. So I'm really, really excited about that.
So it's the first chance for people to get the deck before it comes out, basically.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Where can people, what is the link where can people can access and get their tickets for it?
Okay, so the best thing would be probably to go to my website, which is karenk.co.uk. I have everything on there, so people can go on there. There'll be a link at the top talking about this workshop. Now, the fairy weekend in Avebury is actually a free weekend, so anybody can come. The workshop, there is a charge for that. There are limited spaces available, and the details are all on there. But if you just want to come and enjoy the energy of Avebury and see some fairy stalls, then you can do that totally free of charge.
Of course, and I've just shared the link to Karen's website on the group, and of course it's going to be in the description on the YouTube video.
Thank you.
Karen, thank you so much for joining us tonight for this exclusive first view of the Oracle of the Fairies. I love the deck. I love the magic that you co-created with the fairies, and I cannot wait for everyone to experience this magical deck. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, George, and thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope you love the cards as much as I do. Yay!
Thank you everyone for joining us, and be sure to pop your questions if you have any for Karen, and she's part of our group, so she'll come in and answer them for you. Bye-bye.
Bye.